Yes, Christodoulou here, 2019 European and National Aquathlon Champion, and today I'm going to talk about common mistakes people make with their training and my tips. Today's video is about common mistakes people make with their training. Every year, people set targets throughout the year, at the start of the year, or even if they're inspired by some sporting event and want to work towards it. So for example, the Olympics, you could be inspired like I was in 2012 with triathlon. However, there's some common mistakes, and I'm going to go through 4 common mistakes that people go through. Now, I did write a blog about this, and I put the link in my description below the video, so you can check that out. So, firstly, the problem 1 is that people do not do strength training. People, athletes, runners, they think that they can just go out, for example, cycle, run, if you're training for a triathlon, and do what you want. Well, the thing is, strength training is important because with strength training, not only does it make you stronger, it also keeps injuries to minimal, which will therefore give you consistent training, therefore improve you. So strength training should be in your training plan twice a week, roughly, or you could get away with 20 minutes a week, just minimal, just to get it in there. So if you're a runner, it's important that you do some strength training because, well, with anything you do, cycling, swimming, you really need to do strength training. And you see, like, for example, the swimmers do a lot of land-based training, which is it's called strength training. They call it land-based training. Cyclists do strength training. You see the runners do strength training as well. Now, people think because with strength training, they think that you will put weight on or bulk up. Well, that's not the case. If you're weight training, then you will do if you're doing that 6 days a week. But with a runner, for example, you will lose that muscle mass from just burning it from running. So you will never put that much on. So you would never be a bodybuilder shape, unless of course you work a certain way to it. So with this, it's important that you do strength training and you put that, as I said, like it could be twice a week or a minimal of 20 minutes a week would go quite far. Okay, so now with running, for example, if you don't do any strength training, your body does get weak from you running. So, for example, when you're training, you're pounding the streets, for example, your calves, well, your muscles, the fibres do get torn and ripped slightly. Now, if you keep doing that over a long period of time, keep training, and you don't do any strength work, for example, or no rest, and I'll go on to rest, then what happens is that you end up getting injured. So when you do, so for example, to stop this, strength training does help your body get stronger, and therefore, from the reasons I mentioned before, you do improve, and your training will improve, and minimal injuries. Next up is people going too hard on their easy days. So firstly, easy days are easy and hard days are hard. So my training, I train 6 days a week, and I have 2 real hard days a week. So it'd be 2 hard days would be this, one day could be a swim and a run, and then a bike and a run, for example, and the rest will be easy days. Now, the problem is with this, people think they are going easy, and I hear this all the time. People say, for example, my legs are tired today. I don't know why I didn't work on a speed session, or my long run didn't go well. And I'd say to them, well, what did you do yesterday? And they'll say, I, for example, ran 10 miles or 14 miles. easy. So I say, can I look at the heart rate? And then I look at the heart rate and I'm saying, well, you're actually going too high. You're actually in a moderate or intermediate phase of your heart rate, which is too hard. Now, I will talk about the heart rate training as well briefly. I'll touch on that, but also there'll be a link in my description, because I have mentioned that in a previous video, and please check that out. Now, to go easy, you need to be really ideally in a heart rate zone 1 or 2. Anything higher, you could see from anything when you look up online, is either going into moderate, intermediate or hard. Now the problem is, people don't do that. They think they're doing that. They go by feel sometimes and think, oh, I feel really good, but your heart rate could be quite high. And you could therefore overtraining as a result. So if you're overtraining, doing your easy sessions too hard, what happens? You will get injured. Now, also what happens is that your progress, you don't make much progress. You may make progress to start off with, but then you'll go backwards slowly or quickly, and therefore you don't make any gains, and then you wonder why your times, for example, your 10k time is going backwards and you're not achieving anywhere near you were before. Now, I made this mistake in my when I first started running, for example. I would go out and I was a 21-minute 5k runner. I'd go out and I'd run 7-minute to 7:30 pace for a long run for an hour. Well, it had been a long run for me at the time. And then I got injured. I kept getting injured, reoccurring injuries, and my body could not sustain what I was trying to do. And of course, I got setbacks. I'd have 2 weeks off, and I'd have 3 weeks off, and then I would go longer and longer period and get worse and worse injuries. Now that sounds like common sense, but then when you, I felt fine at the end of the run, but obviously, so these things do show that easy should be easy, and hard days should be hard. So you should really be looking at 2 days, probably real hard days, and if you say, for example, 5 to 6 days a week training, you're looking about the 80 to 20% rule. So 80% easy, 20% hard, and that's the way you should be going with your training. With your training as well, like for example, heart rate, I do a lot of stuff in heart rate, so zone 1, zone 2. I talked about heart rate training for running in a recent video, and in regards to that, you should be running at 60 to 70% of your max, but of course you can do, which would work out roughly zone 1 and zone 2, and this is something that you should implement in all your training. So this is the second real mistake that people make, is going too hard on their easy days. Third area is that people go do too much too soon. So for example, if you're new at running or you're new at cycling, for example, me, when I started in 2012, if I said to you, I'm going to win the European Championships into that year in the aquathlon, you have a laugh, I'd have got injured. Even if you told me in 2016, I would have said to you, well, I don't think I would have done it, but you work towards, so you work towards goals. So make goals realistic. You can make unrealistic goals as long as you can work towards them, but as long as there's a big time scale. So don't have a short period of time. So don't say like you've just started, say, running, swimming and cycling, and you're going to say, I'm going to do a triathlon next month. You could do, but the likelihood is you're going to get injured, and chances are you're probably not going to train very well for it. So just build it up slowly. So this is what I've done over the years. I built my running up slowly. I built my swimming up slowly. I mean, I couldn't swim, so I built that up slowly, and then I built up my cycling, all around my strength, as I mentioned, strength work. So with this, you just need to plot down realistic goals, and maybe just work towards them. Say, look, maybe this month this is what I'm going to do, and like with your training. So for example, your training, you can have a 6-week block, 2-week block, 3-week block, and make sure you have the recovery in there. And you can have certain blocks, and then you can assess yourself and see how you're getting into these goals and targets, and then you can work towards bigger goals and targets in the future. So mainly you want to get to consistent training with no injuries, no setbacks, and that is the key. So on to my final tip, and this is rest. Now I can't stress how important rest is, and don't underestimate it because it's such an important tool in your training. Now, the reason why people neglect this is because they think if they rest, they're going to lose their fitness. Well, of course, if you're going to rest up for 2 weeks, you will lose your fitness. But I'm talking about one day, a structured rest, 1 day a week to 2 days a week in your training. Now, I can't stress how important this is. Now, rest means rest. It doesn't mean going for a walk, doesn't mean going for a cycle ride, doesn't mean doing any strength work. Rest is complete rest. Now, why should we rest? Firstly, rest is important for our body to recover. Now, our body recovers, builds the muscle fibers back up, makes us stronger, and rebuilds. Now, what that does as well is that will keep injuries to a minimal. By keeping injuries to a minimal, you're able to train consistently and well. Now, after this, another area is that your training does improve from rest. Now, from the right structure, the right rest, you will improve and get faster. For example, if you're running a 10K, you could get faster. Now, for me, I have a rest 1 day a week, regardlessly. If I taper in for races, I will taper, and I might have 2 days a rest before a race. I always rest normally a day before a race, and I'm ready for race day. And even through my training throughout the year, I have 1 day rest. Now, it's important, as I said before, to do this because you do make gains. You make a lot of gains from rest and you don't lose your fitness. So it's important that you do this, and it will help you with your training and also stay injury free. I just want to say thanks again for watching. I'll drop the links that I mentioned before about strength training and heart rate training. So I've dropped them links in there for you. Please subscribe. Let me know mistakes that you have done in the comments in the past and learn. I've let you know some of my mistakes, so it'd be good to know what kind of mistakes that you have and what you've learned from your training. So this is me done for today. So please subscribe, please like, and again, drop a comment, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for watching.
And the champions of this age group category, Henrietta Pasapic and Yiannis Christodoulou.
Christodoulou.